there's a high personal cost for being an over-the-road driver, and there are costs that most people wouldn't even be aware of. And for new drivers, let me fill you in. Let me tell you how this works. Over-the-road drivers put in 70 hours a week plus, as compared to the average factory worker, for instance, who puts in 40 hours a week. And that 70 hours a week plus brings in about the same money as the factory worker's making, only for twice as much time put in. And it's tough living on the road. It's a tough job. If you're living out of a truck stop, as most over-the-road truck drivers do, it's expensive to live in truck stops. You're sitting there waiting for a load, so you're not making any money, you're not being paid. It's costing you money to eat, the food's expensive at a truck stop, and even stupid little things that you don't even think of, like the cost of paper towels, or you may even have to pay to have a shower or do laundry or something like that. All of those things add up. And if you're living in a parking lot like a Walmart, well, yeah, you'll get cheaper paper towels, but you can't shower at a Walmart. And these days, all sorts of Walmarts don't even let truck drivers park there. So it's expensive to live on the road. And there are other costs, hidden costs, that most people don't even think of. You're away from your family. And that's a big thing. The average guy is home every night. Over-the-road truck drivers aren't home every night. So they miss little things, family events, the kids' soccer games, or your daughter's dance recital, or your wife's birthday, or something like that. And it all adds up. And it's not you, just you, paying the cost of being away. Your family's paying that too. So that's something to bear in mind. That's an expensive weight to bear, and it adds up, and it gets worse and worse over the years. Truck driving is a sedentary job, so it takes a toll on your body. Your health suffers for it. And it brings on high blood pressure, strokes, heart attacks, and you're not compensated for any of that. It's just because you're sitting there, your body gets no movement. Back to the family thing, after a few years on the road, a lot of drivers start to suffer from loneliness and depression. No one's paying you for that, and that can be serious, serious business. Depression's a serious thing these days. Doctors are beginning to recognize more and more what a problem it really is. And you know, you're doing all of this, and you start out doing it because you think you're going to make more money for all the hours you're putting in, but it doesn't truly work out at the end of the day. The guys really making the money from over-the-road truck drivers are the shareholders and the CEOs. So there's a high, high cost to be paid for over-the-road driving. And that's why all sorts of guys these days are switching to more local run jobs, because the cost to the driver and his family just isn't worth it anymore. You're not compensated financially for all the time you're away. It's a tough job, and drivers just aren't compensated properly for all the hours they put in. Truck driving isn't just a job, it's a lifestyle. Well, that's true, and it's a lifestyle that costs you in all sorts of ways, and it's one that once you get into it, it's pretty hard to get out of it. So think long and hard before you want to choose over-the-road trucking as a career. I've got a truck driving story for you, something that happened to me and the Lettuce King back in the day. Back in, probably 93 as best I can recall. The Lettuce King and I were hauling for an outfit that had a lot of freight going to the West Coast, and that's where we wanted to end up because we needed the produce to come home. So we'd scored a couple of loads of office furniture going to Klamath Falls, Oregon, and our plan was to drop down, empty out at Klamath Falls, drop down into California, load produce, and bomb home. Well, the office furniture was high dollar stuff, and we were to meet a crew at a high-rise office building at a certain appointment time. We had to be there. There was no ifs, ands, or buts, because the crew wouldn't wait. We had to meet the crew or they were gone. So we were headed west on I-80, and we got in as far as Little America, Wyoming, one of my favorite truck stops on 80. Crashed for the night. Got up in the morning, snow all over the ground. Well, you know, it was getting to be that time of year, and I'd brought my chains, but the Lettuce King didn't have a set of chains with him. So he'd called the guys that had loaded us the day before, because we were anticipating bad weather, and the chain laws were going to be in effect once we got into California. We were going to need them to cross into California anyway. So the Lettuce King had called this guy that gave us the load, and he'd forwarded him, well, I don't know, $500 or so, just so he could buy some chains. So the Lettuce King had bought chains back in Grand Island, Nebraska, so we had all the chains we needed. Got into Wyoming that night, got up in the morning and it snowed, and I got up and looked around, didn't see the Lettuce King, figured he must have gone in for coffee. But our deal was that we had to call this guy every morning with a progress report because we were to meet this crew to unload. So anyway, I wandered in and called this guy. I said, you know, we're in Little America, Wyoming. There's snow on the ground, but I think we're still all right for time. I don't think we're going to have too much trouble. The chain requirements were up in Wyoming, but I said, you know, I think we're fine still. He says, "Is the Lettuce King with you? Are you traveling with the Lettuce King?" I said, "Yes, I am." He said, "Well, I just talked to him. I just got off the phone with him, and he said the chain laws were up and he wasn't going to move because the chain laws were up." And I got to thinking, this guy says, I said, "I forwarded him $500 yesterday to buy chains." So I said that to the Lettuce King. He says, "Oh yeah, I've got the chains to get into California." He says, "But I'm not chaining the truck up." This is what the guy's telling me from the furniture place. And I don't know what to say, but this does sound like the Lettuce King, because he hates to hang chain and he hates to get his truck dirty. So I had to laugh, but quietly, and the guy says to me, "You get that fool and get him down the road, because if you guys miss that crew, I'm going to be mad as hell." And I kind of laughed and chuckled and hung up and wandered around, found the Lettuce King. We went for breakfast, and I said, "You know, you're going to have to chain or this guy's going to be angry as hell, and he may screw you on your pay." Yeah, well, you know, the Lettuce King, he wasn't too sure whether he wanted to chain. And just as we were finishing breakfast, sure enough, they dropped the chain restrictions out on I-80 in Wyoming, and we were able to carry on. The Lettuce King got the truck dirty, but that was the price we had to pay to be on time. And we made it into Klamath Falls on time, got empty and went all into California. But you had to laugh at the Lettuce King. Buying the chains, he was going to hang them underneath the trailer, but by God, he wasn't hanging them on the rubber. What a laugh. Take care, guys. Keep the rubber side down, and I'll see you on the backhaul.